Wildfires, floods, record-breaking heat. It really feels like our planet is trying to tell us something, right? But are we listening to the right story? We're about to dive into a fascinating analysis by Marilia Hagen and Anibal Azevedo that points a finger at a surprising culprit for all our extreme weather, one that starts way, way beyond our own atmosphere.
There's just no denying it. Things feel off. Our planet seems to be on edge. We're getting hit with this barrage of crazy climate events that don't quite add up. And this isn't just a string of bad luck. It's a genuine puzzle that scientists are scrambling to solve.
And you don't have to look far to see it. 2024, it was the hottest year in half a century. From floods that literally wiped towns off the map to wildfires that choked the sky, the headlines have just been relentless. So the real question isn't if something big is happening, but what is the real engine behind all of this?
Okay, so this is where the story gets really interesting. Instead of immediately looking at our own impact, this research tells us to look outwards, towards the sun, and then downwards, deep into our oceans. So let's follow the evidence and see where it takes us.
So, who's suspect number one in this cosmic mystery? Well, it's the most powerful force in our entire solar system, the sun. It's not always the steady, gentle star we picture. Lately, it's been acting up a lot. And this paper suggests that turmoil is the real cosmic trigger for our climate chaos.
50. That's how many major solar flares hammered our planet in 2024 alone. And we're not talking about little flickers here. These are X-class flares, the big ones. To put that in perspective, think of just one of them as a billion hydrogen bombs going off at once, with a lot of that energy pointed right at us.
And you know what's wild? This isn't the first time we've seen something like this. The analysis points to this chilling parallel from the past, a moment that looks an awful lot like what we're going through right now. This is where the case against our cosmic suspect starts to get really strong.
Just take a look at the similarities between 2024 and 2003. In both years, you had these intense solar storms. These are basically gigantic eruptions of plasma called coronal mass ejections that just slammed into Earth. And when they hit, they triggered what scientists call severe geomagnetic storms. We're talking G4 and G5 level stuff. That's powerful enough to mess with satellites, even our power grids. The pattern is it's almost identical. And it's not just the storms themselves. The effects on the ground, they're also eerily similar. This research highlights a really disturbing pattern. It looks like the same solar conditions led to the exact same kinds of regional disasters just 2 decades apart. We're talking about the same kinds of terrible floods and wildfires hitting the very same parts of China.
Okay, but wait a second. How does a storm on the sun, 93 million miles away, actually cause a flood here on Earth? Well, according to these researchers, the missing piece of the puzzle is the massive, churning engine of our planet's oceans.
They've got a name for it, the cosmic funnel. It's basically a 4-step chain reaction. Step 1, the sun erupts. Step 2, that energy punches through our planet's magnetic shield, creating a geomagnetic storm. Step 3, and this is the key part, all that energy gets absorbed by our oceans, specifically by huge patterns like El Niño, which heats up the Pacific. And finally, step 4, that heat gets spread all over the globe by even bigger ocean currents.
So this totally reframes how we think about the ocean, right? It's not just some passive victim getting hit by climate change. In this model, it's the active engine. It's what takes all that raw energy from space and converts it into the hurricanes, the wildfires, the floods that we're seeing on the news.
All right, so if the sun is the trigger and the oceans are the engine, where do we fit into all of this? This analysis doesn't exactly let us off the hook, but it definitely challenges our staring role in the climate story.
And really, it all just comes down to a question of scale. Think about it. Over 70% of our planet is water. Our entire human civilization, we're living on a tiny, tiny fraction of the land, just 0.05%. The sheer size and power of the oceans, this research argues, is something we just can't afford to overlook.
This leads to a whole new way of looking at our impact. The paper calls us localized amplifiers. The idea is we're not the ones starting the global fire, but our actions, pollution, deforestation, they're like throwing gasoline on it. We make the disasters so much worse when they finally hit our neighborhoods. And get this, our impact is incredibly concentrated. A whopping 90% of all humans live in the Northern Hemisphere. So what does that mean? It means our environmental footprint isn't spread out evenly. It's focused in these specific zones.
which helps explain why our amplifying effects feel so intense in certain places.
Okay, let's recap. We've got the sun as the trigger, the ocean as the engine, and humanity as the local amplifier. So, what's the verdict? This research is basically a direct challenge to the way we've been thinking about climate change, and it's calling for a major rethink.
So here are the 4 big takeaways from their analysis. First, the main thing driving our recent extreme weather is this sun-Earth interaction. Second, our oceans have way more control over the climate than our current models give them credit for. Third, because of that, we're seriously underestimating the role of both the sun and the oceans. And that leads to the final point. We might be overestimating our own role as the primary cause of it all. If there's one line to take away from this, it's this quote, right from the analysis, "Oceans dictate climate to a far greater degree than currently modeled." I mean, that's a powerful statement.
So, this entire analysis pushes us to look up to the sun and down into the sea for answers. It really leaves you with a huge question, doesn't it? What would happen? How would our predictions for the future change if we completely rebuilt our climate models with these massive cosmic and oceanic forces at the very center?